interesting chat with Shanavia, and aside from hearing her experience with the Huntsman Spiders, which I'm not too keen about either, I started by asking her whether she had heard about the WNBL before she came over here.
No, ma'am, I hadn't heard much about it. But when Chris started calling me, I started looking up information on it just to see what it was about when he started recruiting me.
Okay, and so is it what you expected? Does it rate up there with the leagues that you've played in around the world?
Yes, ma'am. The league is very competitive, and they have a lot of competitive players, and it's a tough matchup, but I've adjusted to it pretty well so far.
Well, your numbers would suggest you have adjusted well. You're averaging, 17.2 points per game, just over 8 rebounds a game. What do you attribute that start to the season to, for you firstly?
Well, I would have to say Ellie Manu, practicing against her. She's a big post player and she's really strong. So I'll have to give her a lot of credit because she really gets after me in practice, and I would just have to say it's her.
And what about the team? Is it Chris's direction? Is it just the team's gelling really well? Is that what's given you the 5-0 start to the season?
Yes, ma'am. And I think the crazy part is we haven't really even got to know each other's strengths and weaknesses as well as we should. So when we really gel and get together, I think we'll be really good.
Now, you said to me just prior to talking to me now that you're from Alabama, and so I asked you, is it similar to Townsville? Have you settled into Townsville life well?
Yes, ma'am. The heat is something I'm used to, and the humidity is everything is pretty much the same. But the only thing I haven't adjusted to is like the creatures. We had a huntsman spider in our house.
And they're big up the north, aren't they?
It was a scary experience. Let me just say we didn't sleep for about 3 nights.
Oh dear, yes, and they're like they eat horses up in Queensland, don't they? So yes. I'm sure they're even worse, tropical Queensland. Now, back to the basketball though. In the 5 games that you've played so far in the WNBL, who would you say is your toughest opponent?
I would have to say Tolo was my toughest opponent. She gets up and down the floor really well, and she's just really athletic.
And you're looking forward to the matchup with Liz Cambage later in the season?
Yes, I am.
Did you come across her in the WNBA?
No, I didn't. I actually didn't play a season. I just played preseason in WNBA.
Right, okay.
But I'm looking forward to playing against her in the next season.
And because you don't know a lot about our league, do you spend time looking at other players, like watching DVDs of the teams or watching our coverage as well, just to catch up on the players that you don't know?
Yes, ma'am. And Chris gives us like clips of all the players that we're going to come up against, so we're well prepared for them before we even play them, because thanks to Chris and Peter, we have everything we need.
Well, thanks to Chris, we've got you in the league. It's been a pleasure to see the stats that you've put out, watching you play. We wish you continued success for the rest of the season and certainly for the Fire. Thanks, Shanavia.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, what about Shanavia Dowdell, one of the most polite people I think we've ever had?
Look, she was just lovely. She was a delight to speak to. She was very, very nervous about doing the interview, but she was such a pleasure to speak to.
What have you enjoyed about watching her play in the first half? Have you been impressed with what you've seen?
Look, what I really like about her, Darren, is that as an import and a scoring import, she's not a selfish import.
Yeah.
You know, she's not taking every shot that comes, every time she touches the ball, she's not shooting it every time. She's giving it up, she's making really good positions, she's just playing a really smart sort of game. And that's really nice to see.
It is, and there she is, as Narelle said in the interview, she's top 5 in the league in both scoring and rebounding, so a credit to her in Townsville's undefeated start to the season.